Alright, hello everybody. This is going to be another one of the Surviving Mars Green Planet Relaxation streams. I always look forward to doing these. It's, I don't know, it's a fun game. I really enjoy the opportunity to play a little bit more Surviving Mars, especially when I don't get a chance to play it live on stream as much as I would like, so these are always a nice little chance to relax a bit, to share a game that I enjoy with everyone, and, try and make some progress on some things that I haven't done yet. So we're on day 41 of the Terraforming initiative. Now, as I'm sure fans of this series will realize, I've not been the most consistent in getting this done every week. It does turn out that getting two sets of videos done a week is actually quite challenging. So, this follow-up episode to the Farming Dome comes to you belatedly, but I won't let that stop me from having some fun. What we'll probably do is review the current situation that we find ourselves in, and we'll maybe talk a little bit about what some of the next steps, some of the next goals are going to be. And then on top of that, I can also just talk a little bit about what's been going on and hopefully encourage you if you're not feeling all that great. And if you are feeling good, then just to hopefully do something that will keep you that way. So for today, I need a quick second here to adjust something off screen. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe in terms of what's going on with me, I actually got a new book today. It's a very heavy book. It's like 2.5 kilograms, which I realize does not mean much to people who don't use metric. It's been a little busy at work, but nothing too overwhelming, I don't think. And I don't know, I've been really looking forward to seeing where this playthrough goes. So, like I said, I started doing this series because I wasn't actually feeling that good about work, and I'm glad that sort of things have evened out a little bit for me in that respect. And, but I won't let that stop me from enjoying a very enjoyable game. So, if memory serves, we sort of, tore down a lot of what we had inside our original dome, and that was in favor of sort of creating a centralized hub in which most people could sort of get their amenities and whatnot. Now, there was one thing that I didn't properly take into account, and that was my ability to keep, to get a lot of housing in here. In reality, once I deal with sort of 3 passages, and then, well, this is a tricky call actually. I can fit a size, like a small triangle building in here. No, I think I will actually go for it that way, so I'll put 1 passage through there, and then I'll use the little size 3s. Anyways, I won't have as many opportunities to build apartments here. Now that's a particular shame, just because it is going to mean that I'm going to have less access to botanists than I would normally want. But that's fine. Another consideration that I need to make is that we are currently in a water deficit, but that will hopefully be fixed. I don't know if it's fixed by this water extractor or I could build another moisture evaporator, I suppose, if I really wanted. I could shut down one of the fuel plants, or I could... Yeah, actually another moisture evaporator seems like a reasonably good choice. Of course, I can also just finish the tunnel, and then we will have more water infrastructure there. But we'll figure it out. Let's think a little bit. So, I think my intermediate goals are, we're going to be able to get self-sustaining if I can start, well, more self-sustaining if I can start building machine parts. I believe machine parts are my highest, yes, it is the highest level of consumption right now. So I've already got a machine parts factory, prefab. Really, it's just a matter here of building the dome. But of course, it's also worth considering that maybe I want to make sure that I have everything else sort of in place before I put too much effort there. We may not do so well if there's another storm that comes, so I might want to keep that in mind. Also, it looks like we are consuming more food than we produce, but that's going to eventually be fixed once we get the farms up and running. Again, these will be, I probably want to prep these farms before I do anything else, and then what I can do is sort of bring in a new batch of botanists to really make these things sing. I do also want to put a water reclamation system in when I can. So let's think a little bit about the next few steps. So I should have lots of living space. I think eventually this is going to be, yes, this will be priority for seniors. And I believe this dome should forbid seniors. Yes. And we do prefer children living here, seeing as we've got the space for them. We may need to build a second. See, the thing here with this location, there's actually, it's not really clear what I'm going to do with it. I suspect at some point I'm going to build an electronics factory, but I need to figure out some other things to do because we just have so much living space. But the way I see it right now is we've got a seniors apartment, and then we've got a worker apartment. That's going to be how I work that out. So we'll say this is an electronics dome, this is amenities, this is farming, and this one will be for metal when the time comes. Now these guys are already on their way to an anomaly. These guys are also, so that makes me happy. So yeah, other than figuring out what I'm going to do with water, I think we're ready to consider the next step. And in this particular case, it's going to cost me 2 polymers and 10 power. I think I'm gonna bite the bullet on this one. Once sort of this main base is set up, we're eventually going to consider sort of Site B, which is going to be more research focused. But at the moment here, I'm a little too invested in domes. This will pay off once I sort of have all my infrastructure in place. But I think the most important thing for me to do right now is make sure that I have enough water and oxygen and food for everyone. And one of the ways I'm going to accomplish that is by starting to switch to wind power. That won't help us so much with the water. And the oxygen will also be a bit of a challenge. But I think we're going to be in a much better spot once we sort of get ourselves off of the solar power. At some point, I would also like to build a university. And it's just not quite clear to me where I'm going to go with that. There's a ship launching, so let's see what the dome sees standing up on the top of your apartment, and you get to watch that. One thing I was meaning to say a little bit earlier, and I always feel a little silly when I say stuff like this, but one thing that's been very pleasant about the last little while is I feel like I have been getting just a bit more done in general. Oh, looks like my transport's not doing what it needs to do. Maybe I won't worry about the polymers here then. I think I'm going to get the transport to do that manually. yeah, I feel like I've been able to get a little bit more done than I had in the last little while. And I don't know, that's making me feel a bit better. Hey, anomaly's done. I believe the explorer's on their way to the next anomaly that we discovered. They are. But today, in addition to sort of some of the other work that I've been doing, I managed to get a little more C# learned. And I don't have a direct application for C# yet, but I'm told it's a very good language to learn, and I sort of like to learn new things, particularly along those lines, because I'm a little bit more familiar with things like Python and Scheme, so C# will be like taking my medicine. So, all of that is to say, if you have something that you've been putting off, or if you have something that you've been meaning to do, I would like to encourage you to give yourself a shot, even if it means turning off YouTube or Twitch. I will be here when you get back. You can pause the video, you can just catch the VOD if you're watching live, but it's a reminder that if I'm becoming a distraction from you doing that thing, now's not a bad time. But of course, it's also important to get a little bit of relaxation into, so I'm certainly not going to feel too hard done by if you hang out and watch. I never really noticed all the branding on these things, so it's so neat when they get sort of the wear and tear on them, just to sort of see the, and just see how aged they look. This one's obviously gotten some repairs done. There's still a little bit of dust, but I've never really looked at all this stuff up close. I really do like the effects that they put on it. That's probably, somebody put a lot of hard work into that, and very few people who've played the game get a chance to see. Just like seeing these little details that have gone into the game. Goat. Turtle.
Anomaly analyzed.
There's more to the barren environs of the Red Planet than meets the eye. A veritable treasure trove of undiscovered knowledge and wonder. So long as you know where to look.
Even the tiniest simple-looking rock can contain the answers to mysteries which perplex the human mind for generations. Sometimes it takes just a simple discovery to assure us of the vastness of the universe, an encouragement to make us look beyond the boundaries of our existence and into the future. The following texts have been revealed on the research screen: moisture farming, sustainable agriculture, factory amplification, rover command AI, emergency training, and lake crafting. So some of these sound very promising. Let's just take a quick look. So the most expensive ones. Okay, so this is going to take me a while to be able to build my own moisture evaporators, but they also seem to be rather inexpensive, which is good to know. I'll probably want to prioritize the creation of artificial lakes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. I actually only need to go to growth stimulators to get the bonus. We'll think about that a little bit. New crops for better yields, that's good news. Low G engineering, obviously getting a medium dome is a reasonably high priority. Yeah, it looks like we've got a few good things up on our... Oh, wow. 20% in all terraforming parameters. I think that will potentially... that'll be a bit of a game changer. I should be considering that pretty soon. So it looks like that was for the anomaly. Now I think we're going to be okay. We're a little light on machine parts, so it looks like we are actually building the tunnel. I might as well commit to it. I'm a little uncomfortable with that choice because it will leave me short on machine parts. Oops, I didn't need to take down so many. This is really just to drop the two polymers that I had. We'll speed things up a little bit just so I don't forget. Yeah, so the drawback here is this is going to be a bit of a demand on my grid, and obviously this well isn't my long-term solution. It will eventually run out. So in one sense, it would actually be better if I preserved this for as long as I could. But in another sense, it's probably just as well that I'm getting this taken care of. I'll at least have a path to this tunnel, and we've got sort of two water extractors if I need them as backup. I also think once we're done with the anomalies, we'll turn on the second GHG factory. Now this I find very interesting, that this is sort of being ignored. I think I'm gonna preempt this a little bit.
The explorer made a thorough scan of the anomaly site, but couldn't find anything unusual.
Regrettably, it appears that the unusual readings were just a sensor glitch. Or were they? Alright. So I'll get them back to base. Get my drones back, which is good news. They went off right away. And I'll just queue this one up for an immediate trip to the next anomaly. So, takeoff of progress, 3 engineers, which we don't have, an RC commander, which I do have, 6 officers, which I don't have. So there's only one more for me to be looking out for. So, on to Project Savannah. There we go. And in this particular case here, I'm going to move the drone commander closer because it's going to need to sort of do its own thing for a bit anyway. What else? I don't think there's anything for me to do except sort of wait for the outcomes right now. Again, I'm a little uneasy about the demands that I'm making on my machine parts, but we do have ways of obtaining them. So in this case, I think I'm going to speed up again. I'm a little less strict than last time about the speeding up, and that's just because I do have a couple of milestones I'd like to hit with regards to... I do have... Oh no, this explains a lot. Okay. Actually, I don't really need 6. Go for 5. I know it says heavy, but I don't actually think there's that much of a demand on them. Okay, and we'll turn on the GHG factory now. Again, it doesn't have fuel, and it's going to need some machine parts to get repaired, but can't have everything. We're almost done the water reclamation, so good news there. Nope, that's also good news, so let's take our friendly explorer and see what's happening there. I'm just gonna have a little sip of water.
Anomaly analyzed.
There's more to the barren environs of the Red Planet than meets the eye. A veritable treasure trove of undiscovered knowledge and wonder. So long as you know where to look.
Alright, so we discovered holographic scanning, compact passenger module, dust repulsion, drone printing, general training, and domeless farming. So, again, it's a little tricky to decide what I want. Some of the features that would be really good for me would be the ability to generate more moisture farms, to be able to get better crops, medium domes. I am looking to switch away from dust repulsion, so maybe not that one. But of course the trick on a lot of these is that they're fairly expensive. So what I'm looking at for tech here is about, 3,000 or less. These are 7,000 or higher. So it's I definitely need to be investing a bit more in terms of my
research complete.
My science infrastructure, but that's going to be what that dome is about. Okay, so with that in mind, what's our next step? And in this particular case, I actually think ancient terraforming device might be the way to go. And it's a hard call because obviously, I also want to develop all the terraforming tech. But I think in this particular case, getting a nice 20% boost to a lot of my parameters is a nice jump. Sparkling new greenhouse gas factory. So they're gonna give me concrete for electronics. Alright, so Japan wants Project Solar. Unless we can get some officers, we're not going to be able to match them. I'm going to be interested. Right now it looks like we've been able to sustain sort of the deficit. I'm going to be interested to see if that's still true when the amplification is in place. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I seem to remember dropping 2 polymers. In this particular case here, I'm just going to make sure that I get the item that I need. It's a little bit of a frustrating manual intervention, but no one won't be too upset by it. Alright, now I should be making better use of my transport. In this case here, we're just going to put the rare metals down.
Analyzed.
There's more to the barren environs of the Red Planet than meets the eye. A veritable treasure trove of undiscovered knowledge and wonder. So long as you know where to look.
We gained rejuvenation treatment, arcology, deep scanning, CO2 jet propulsion, that'll be a good one, Martian Institute of Science, and a magnetic field generator. But that's still quite expensive. Let's get my spaceship down. So I'm just finding something for my transport to do, hopefully close, but it doesn't have to be. There we go, it's a nice big stack of metal that they'll be able to take care of. I think I'm actually going to have to put the tunnel on hold. That's just because I'm sitting on 6 machine parts right now, and I don't have a way of getting back home. So as far as planetary anomalies are concerned, I don't have engineers and I don't have officers. So nothing for me to do with those anomalies right now. So this one's going to be heading back home. So it says in 3 sols I'm going to run out of machine parts. Not sure. Oh, no. Looks like we do use quite a few. So I'll admit I'm going to be a little interested to see whether or not this actually works.
There's more to the barren environs of the red planet than meets the eye. A veritable treasure trove of undiscovered knowledge and wonder, so long as you know where to look.
Farm automation and terratourism. Let's see what's going on there. Arcology would be helpful, but okay. Decreases the number of workers, fair enough. Yeah, there's a lot of cool tech here, but terratourism tourists pay 50% more funding to come to Mars, receive 100 tourist applicants. Wow. That would definitely be a nice little shot in the arm for the economy, but I don't think I'll count on that quite yet. Okay, so the hope here is going to be that we get this thing off the ground before too long. I should have thought this through a little bit more carefully, because they're going to start putting things onto this rocket rather than this one, so my attention is going to be split between the two.
Great dust storm approaching.
Ooh, that's gonna hurt. Okay, and 3 sols, so I need to make sure I have a lot of oxygen, a lot of water. And so just as a precaution, let's put a few more redundancies in. And the other challenge is going to be power. I'm not quite sure this is going to be enough to see us through, but we'll at least put down the framework and hope for the best. We are going to be a little bit better off as far as the wind turbines, because they are going to produce a little bit more. And I suppose the last thing I can do is sort of turn off a few functions that take power that I don't think we need. Just gonna sit and wait and see what happens. So the good news is it looks like they're giving the fuel to the right ship.
Sector scanned. Anomaly found.
Okay, let's get the science ship doing the work. So in truth, I'd kind of like to have both rockets back on Earth. This would be because, one, I'd like to bring some more colonists on if I can. And then number two, I would also like to bring some more goods. Just one more. Several colonists have gathered to watch the launch. Their anticipation is quickly replaced by concern as the engine spits dust and smoke, but the rocket refuses to get off the ground. Shenyang 1 has failed to launch. We believe the problem lies within the ratio of liquid oxygen to liquid methane. We've compensated the issue, but it is highly recommended to perform a full maintenance on the rocket, which will cost 5. This is a little too risky, so we are going to perform the maintenance. And that's going to mean that I need to do a supply pod. So the thing is, a rocket full of 30, 30 rare metals is too valuable to potentially lose.
Until today, the only place we'd thought you could find Ice-15 outside of a lab was on an icy planet or a moon. And here we find it on Mars.
Ice-15 is a super dense phase of water ice, which is formed in extremely cold and extremely high pressure environments. It turns out that the unique geological history of Mars allows a small quantity of Ice-5 to form under the crust. Even though we didn't confirm any substantial deposits of water, this discovery would cause uproar in the scientific communities and draw significant attention to our efforts on the Red Planet. Our sponsors immediately provided us with tools to discover more about the effects of Martian geology on the formation of underground ice. Gain 500 million funding. So that certainly came at the right time. But obviously I'm now going to have to be worrying a bit about whether or not my rocket launches on time. I can have all the machine parts in the world and it won't really count for much if okay, let's get them to just drop this thing. Because I do kind of need the water to be at a positive number as soon as possible.
Anomaly analyzed.
Okay.
There's more to the barren environs of the red planet than meets the eye. A veritable treasure trove of undiscovered knowledge and wonder. So long as you know where to look.
Okay, we got creative realities and nuclear fusion. So that will certainly help me with the power. And VR workshop. Okay. So the real question here is whether or not we're going to have rockets to Earth in time. Good news. Maybe we'll move that out of the way. So when nighttime comes, before the dust storm, I'm going to turn off the GHG factories and the concrete extractor. That'll help us preserve a bit of power. There we go. Okay. Away we go. Looks like, okay. So I don't need to worry about the planetary anomalies because they're not within my, they're sort of not in my reach. These are all mighty tempting, but I'm just going to leave them be for now. Alright, now this I well and truly don't understand. It feels like there's just this absolutely insatiable appetite for polymers, and the upgrade never gets built.
Sector scanned.
We gather here today to bid a final farewell to one of our finest.
As difficult and as painful as it is, we must accept that Tia Kateri is dead. As friends, as a community, we express our sadness. We acknowledge our loss and acknowledge the great importance of Tia Kateri's life. Tia Kateri's life has been a journey towards a vision, a journey which brought us all towards the possibility of living on the Red Planet, one small step after at a time. Tia Kateri didn't try to make their mark on human history, for there's no room for attempts and success. Tia Kateri knew what the calling of fate was, knew the risks and the opportunities, and made the best of it for the good of us all. What is it that takes a person through all this is a question that only we can answer. This is a question whose answer is the spirit of Tia Kateri, and this is a legacy for us. So, died of old age, and yeah, I don't need to worry about people leaving the pool, so thank you, fellow colonists. So I'm happy that we got one ship on its way back to Earth. That'll give us some much needed funding. Now I hope this thing finally gets the polymers it needs. Okay, so again, that's going to be a hit on my... it's going to be a hit on my grid, but... I suppose I can finish building the tunnel now. So we're almost ready to go with this other ship. I think I'm tempted to wait for... I'm tempted to wait to get the remaining rare metals. There'll always be more. It just seems like a good opportunity to make just a little bit more. We only have 3.
Resources are low.
Ah, no, that's concerning. We'll get a little bit of a shot in the arm with these farms. I should be careful. Also, we have a very important building which we just made. So I can afford all of this. Figure out what to do with this last one later.
Crop failure reported.
Okay, just as long as the soil quality went up. Nope, it didn't. It's even more concerning because we're low on food, but... which building is this? The infirmary, because it doesn't have concrete. There's really no reason for that to be not working, though, because we certainly have plenty of concrete. Okay, now as far as power is concerned, we've got 1400.
Resources are low.
I think we'll be able to get through it. The problem here is I don't know how long the Great Dust Storm lasts. That's going to be the big question mark. I think we're going to sit here, we'll wait. Get the batteries up to maximum. And once nighttime comes, we're going to turn off some of the non-essentials. Okay. So what I'd normally want to do now would be to take...
Resources are low.
Yeah, well, I certainly like to remind me of that, don't they? I think I'm going to wait until it tells me how long this is going to take. I am a bit worried about how low the machine parts are at the moment. But I don't think there's anything I can do about it. I think at this point we're just going to sit and wait and hope the infrastructure holds. So I just need one more rare metal. And we'll be good to go. That looks like it's sort of universal crop failures. That means I'm wasting water. Well, we'll wait until our rare metals are to a max. We'll see how long the Great Dust Storm is going to take. And then after that, I'm going to... I'm going to bring a bunch of botanists in so that we can sort of kick the farming into high gear. Plan was sort of to have those available for the batch of botanists to be working on them right away, but at this point I think I need to invest in the food supply. Okay, so it looks like that's idle again. Again, I don't need all of this metal, but it certainly doesn't hurt to take it all off the surface and put it in a spot where I am going to need it. Less than 3 sols. Yeah, the thing that worries me the most is that it's entirely possible that this dust storm will last 3 sols. But I don't believe... I don't know if it counts the food that's in the service buildings. I guess we'll find out. Alright. So I'm starting to think at this point we want to turn off the GHG factories. How are we on water? We really could use some more right now. So fuel I don't really want to do this to the fuel refineries, but I'm going to. I'm going to try and keep the concrete going as long as I can. Part of this is just to try and maximize all my storage units before the storm comes. But I'm pretty sure we're not going to max out what we need. And I also think if I shut one of these things down, we'd be in much better shape. So. At least until I have the labor force to support this. Makes sense to have a functional farm. And then move on to the next one than to have 2 that are just going to keep spitting out failures. Oh. Instead they went to the water reclamation system, and not bad because, you know, it does help with the water consumption, but let's make the farms high priority. Okay, so we're at max power, that's good news. Get the last little bit of concrete we can out of this thing. We're at max oxygen, and we're really hurting for water, but fortunately it's not just moisture evaporators that are going to be, or sorry, we don't just have moisture evaporators anymore, so... storm has come. So it does take 3 days. Slightly longer, actually. So let's turn off the concrete extract. Interesting. So this is telling me, no, these things haven't gone down yet. I want to see what happens when this thing properly hits. I don't know what just happened to our... That's probably building the reclamation system. The lack of machine parts will potentially devastate us here. Okay, so we actually have enough power, surprisingly. So let's see what happens when I close the Stirling generators. Okay, not bad. This means I'm going to try and restore a little bit of normalcy. Let's open up the fuel refinery. So it's really just the light, the oxygen, which of course makes sense. But I better hope that we don't need machine parts maintenance, because otherwise that's going to be a very bad day. Alright, we'll bring our friend the Explorer back. Now, I don't remember how long it takes the ship to arrive back home, or from home. So, I'm gonna get an idea of what the colony needs. So we need doctors, lots of botanists, geologists. Okay. Eventually we'll need also geologists for this area, but so now let's kick out the obvious negatives. Let's see, they're a medic, so... Okay, I'll get rid of you. I have limits in terms of what I'll accept. This is a pretty strong group, to be completely honest. I really do need all the botanists I can get. But I need to get rid of 3. So I'm underinvesting in botanists, but the hope here is that the geologist will displace some of the people who are working in the mines. So I'm a little curious if this arrives on time. This will come with food, so I'm a little less worried about that. but the machine parts is a big priority. So much so, actually, that I think I'm willing to... Yeah, it's not an efficient use of resources, but I'm willing to launch it. That way we can keep the rocket for something else. Once the food supply is secure, I think we can start thinking about adding some officers and whatnot, just so we can be prepared for the next batch of locations. And I think we should be okay for oxygen. Again, if we run out of machine parts, that's going to be a worry. But we'll see. We'll see how it all turns out. Looks like we got 2 drones. Let's take that guy and we'll send him back to the command center.
Funding received.
Okay, this is good news. It is mildly tempting to do an outsource here. So leave me with 400 million. It's dicey because I don't think I have any good sources of income for the next little while. But I'm gonna do it. Because that'll give us a big bonus on... Oh. This is unexpected. I didn't think I was going to be able to drop one of these. So we will survive the... We'll weather the storm without too much trouble. Oh no.
Sector scan.
Was very careless. Also, let's just turn off those polymers. Alright, so that's some decent work there. Oh, I might have been too early on this. No, 2 sols. Okay, we're good. But yeah, that's potentially dangerous if I'm not thoughtful. Looks like we're finally on our way to our tunnel, which is good news. I don't think I'm going to build the infrastructure to handle that yet. Ah, no, this is potentially dangerous. So, I think we're going to shut that down right now. At least until the leak is gone. Again, I want to keep an eye on the food, just make sure.
Research complete.
Okay, autonomous hubs is great news here. The reason for that is, where did he go? It's great news that I can't find. Where are you? There we go. No longer require power or maintenance. Self-sustainable drone hubs are of paramount importance in expanding our presence on Mars. So what this means is I'm able to take advantage of the energy and the electronics. I don't need to spend that anymore, and as a result, I'm in a better position. So, this was one I was willing to jump ahead. A similar story with Forever Young. This is going to mean that I have a more effective labor force, which means that the demands in terms of money are less. Now, I didn't read Ancient Terraforming Device before, so instantly gain 20% in all terraforming parameters. Is such a thing even possible? Yes, it is. Giorgio A. Sokolos. I actually don't know who that is. I'd normally like to do resilient vegetation, but I think the challenge here is that I know I'm going to have acid rain in a while, so this is not the best use of my scarce research points right now. But I think I am going to go for Greenhouse Mars. So this is 2000. Drone hub, subsurface heating, financing might make some sense. University would also potentially be good. There's some of these, there's a bit of an argument for, but in this case here, I do want to pursue some of my mission objectives. So, new building, GHG factory, burns fuel to increase the temperature of Mars using greenhouse gases. You could warm Mars up over time with greenhouse gases. Elon Musk. So, essentially, the idea here is to get the 100 sponsor research, which will be that'll basically increase my my standard research by a third. So it's sort of this investment I'm making in my ability to research so that I can ultimately build my off-site dome. The aim is that this should be self-sustaining, and then we build a science dome which will be supported by the farming and whatnot that goes on here. Now I was going to say, I thought I turned this off, and I did. It's going to be a little dicey at the start just because we're going to have a lot of mouths to feed that we're adding to the colony. And the trick here is going to be that the botanists will make me very effective at generating food. We definitely need doctors. Okay. Again, I'm willing to inconvenience the fuel refinery if it means that we don't lose oxygen. Unfortunately, this is one of my tanks, so. Looks like I've got something that I can send my RC transport on. I think I'm just going to deal with columns for the next little while. It seems to be the most straightforward way to make sure that I'm getting everything. The trip might also be a little bit faster now that we've got the tunnel in place. Okay, so one more day of this, and our colonists will have just enough oxygen. They'll be able to appreciate the situation their brethren are in on the planet. Looks like the rare metals extractor is actually pretty thin. I'm a bit surprised. Oh, I know why. Because we made this a high priority. And actually, I don't feel too bad about that. Rare metals are nice and they pay for things, but right now I need people to be able to eat. How are we for... There's no reason to get sloppy now. So it looks like we chewed through our machine parts pretty quickly. That might have been the wrong call then to spend so much money on research. It's pretty dicey. Can't afford to have starvation. The polymers will be unfortunate if I run out of those, but that has a little less demand. I just need to stop building things that need polymers. So we should get another 30 food coming in.
Research complete.
Okay, so adapted probes was sort of just a kick the can down the road one. So we're going to move up, get a one-time subsidy of $1 billion from your sponsor. Wisdom outweighs any wealth, Sophocles. That'll cost me 2,000, so that won't be, that won't take me too long. Okay, we've got another leak, but in this case it's 2 hours away from finishing, so we can afford to wait on that. Problematic Moxie. You tap the red light on the terminal with your finger. It should have turned green when the dust storm dissipated. It looks like the Moxie unit is out of order. Moxie shut down during dust storms to prevent their dust filter from jamming up and damaging the unit. However, the filter on this one is completely clogged. Oxygen production is vital for the colony, but the filter repair will take 24 hours. What should we do? So we can bypass the filter, the Moxie will start working immediately, but will request maintenance more often, or we can take it offline. In this case, we'll take it offline for 24 hours. We have enough Moxies to back it up. So, colonists arrive, enjoying the fresh air of Mars. Let's open up the new farm.
Crop failure reported.
I'm slightly nervous the botanists are not going to have anywhere to go to. was wrong. It's not 20, it's 12. That's gonna cause me some problems.
New colonists have arrived.
Okay, so I want to make sure that all the botanists are working somewhere where botanists are useful. Okay, good. Slightly surprising. Okay, that won't do it all. Actually, let's change this around a bit. This is just so that I can make sure my... Oh. Just trying to make sure that my homeless are taken care of. Looks like we've got a few stressed out people here. Okay, so things are the way that they should be. And doing okay for most things, so I think in this particular case, let's see what we're looking at as far as available jobs. So I definitely would like more botanists if I can. We have plenty of room for geologists. Wow, this is already ready to go back. You know what? I'm gonna do it. It's not gonna get me a lot of money, but it is gonna give me another rocket that I can bring much needed goods to the planet with. Okay, so it's going to be interesting to see if the crop works on this one. This is a little disappointing that we have people... Actually, you know what? Not quite the division that I wanted, but
Research complete.
Okay, topology AI, so that's if geometry is dressed in a suit coat, topology dons G-cert. If geometry is dressed in a suit coat, topology dons jeans and a t-shirt. David Richardson. So as before, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 growth stimulators. Vegetation grows 40% faster. Alternatively, I could spend 1,500 more. Raising the ground via landscaping costs less waste rock. In this case, I think I'm just gonna work with what I've been given here. Now, I would love to find a way. Let's try this.
Resources are low. Sector scanned. Anomaly found.
Let's get them working at the casino again. Let's take someone on the morning. Oh, what am I doing? I've doomed us all. Okay, let's get you working in the morning. Thank God, okay. So now we've got some decent surpluses going here. Now, machine parts, that's going to be my big worry here. Nope, I've got a homeless person. So we're going to put you in here. And you go in here. And they don't have a job. This is the problem with this model. Where do they work? You have a lot of stressed out people, actually. Get in there. Okay, good. Everything's the way it needs to be. So in terms of available jobs, so available homes, we've got 6 available jobs, we've got 11. We are going to leave this ship in place just because we'd like to collect some rare metals. This one will be dropping off some rare metals, so that'll hopefully help us with our cash. Now, at some point, I'm going to have to build another dome and a bunch of geologists to construct machine parts, but I don't actually think I'm generating enough food to be able to justify that large of a population expansion. So I'm gonna think about this for a little bit. Yeah, it's very optimistic. All right.
Funding received.
Okay, so I mean, if it becomes an emergency, we'll be able to get stuff. I don't understand how we just lost. Oh no, I know why. And we are full up on waste rock, so... This is really more busy work, but I don't have anything else for it to do right now. But we can take a look at some anomalies. Okay, now that makes me really mad. So we're gonna start here. Get in there. And of course I just made him homeless. So the idea here is we're going to go from potatoes to soybeans to maximize the production. So just trying to find the jobs that aren't full. So 2, 3. 4, 5. Okay. Now, food consumption. It claims it's 12. I'm not sure I believe that number. But if that is true, we're actually in a really good space. The only thing is we don't have resources to make a new dome. I'm going to need a combination of polymers and machine parts to see me through the day on this one. And then of course at some point I'm also going to need to build habitation. Botanist again. What is it with these guys and unemployment? Okay, so we just filled up the dozer. This is mostly just freeing up a little storage space. So I need 10 for the location. Thing is, I can sustain it. Wait, I forgot to turn this back on, didn't I? wish I understood this. So it says 4.1.7. I'm not quite sure what to make of the bracket. Okay, as a hypothetical. So yeah, we could definitely fill a rocket of people that we need. Although it looks like it's harassing us a bit on food. Which I suppose makes sense. Yeah, so 15 sounds a little more realistic in terms of our food consumption. A lot of sanity damage. So it turns out the centralized amenities does have its drawbacks. Okay. I'm sorry, I thought it was the other way around. So we have a research edge still, which is good. Yeah, the real dilemma for me is deciding how we're gonna get on track with food. I think we're just gonna let the colony naturally grow. Well, see. It's another possibility I can work with. Let's say so obviously it's only no, not even living compound, living quarters. Now, I do kind of want to have some kind of amenities. Honestly, though, it'll work just as well over here, so. I hope this works. I'm gonna kick myself if this winds up being like the one passage that doesn't work.
Anomaly analyzed.
So the thing is, it's all well and good for me to talk about the farming dome, but if I can't actually support a population, that's going to be a problem. So at some point, I am going to build this dome, because that's sort of the next logical step. But I think I'm gonna let the natural growth run by. And okay, so these, it's gonna take a total of 12 people, so that's oh, well, you know, this makes sense here. I just build more living complexes. I don't have anything else to do with the space.
There's more to the barren environs of the red planet than meets the eye. A veritable treasure trove of undiscovered knowledge and wonder, so long as you know where to look.
So we gained adapted vegetation, behavioral shaping, Martian aerodynamics, resilient architecture, stem reconstruction, and triboelectric scrubbing.
Sector scanned. Anomaly found.
Okay, that's always good news. And I need to find something for my transport to do. Surely I can do better. Almost. I don't think it'll quite get everything I need, but it'll be close. Again, I'm being pretty stubborn on letting this guy go because I want to try and get sort of a maximum amount. So we're back to normal research again. It's always a little bit of a shame, but it is going to give us the Fervor Young breakthrough. And that's going to give me 4 more workers, which is rather nice. So I think what I'm going to do here, I'm going to focus
Breakthrough
on
discovered.
overcharge amplifications. Amplify upgrades grant a bigger boost to production. Power, unlimited power, Sheev. So again, 4,000, very cheap. And actually, that is not a bad. That's not a bad multiplier. But in this case, I'm going to stay the course. We're doing all right so far as fulfilling our objectives, so should do cover crops and soybeans when the time comes. So there's a case to be made for bringing a passenger rocket to get this populated, but
The first colonists are all gamblers coming to Mars. It's the ultimate roll of the dice.
they travel through 50 million miles to a rocky, inhospitable world where they tried to bend it to humanity's will. Irma Clark, on the other hand, seems to be a gambler in the more traditional sense. We must not judge. On the contrary, we must be supportive and help our dear comrade with whom we've traversed the void, spearheaded humanity's expansion on other worlds, only to find that we are no safer from vices so earthly, if that's... it's as if we never left. So this is going to be a problem. They are now going to wind up suffering sanity losses for visiting the casino. So I think the name of the game for the next little while is going to be... I forgot to open my Sterling generators. I think the name of the game is going to be to get to a point. I'm going to try and stay the course to get my money. We're going to bring in a care package of polymers and machine parts when we can. And we're going to use that as a chance to build the final dome in the complex. do want to take a quick minute though and just see. So we have 3 jobs. 6. Okay, I just want to make sure so I can have a maximum of 6 geologists. Okay, I think I can live with this. I definitely know where I'm putting this guy. So people who don't have specialized skills that I want, I'm going to kick out in favor of better ones. So the reason I'm doing this is going to be to populate the farm. Does mean, however, I'm going to need to send this guy back a little sooner than I wanted.
Breakthrough discovered.
Superior cables. Instant and free power cable construction. Power cables do not suffer from power faults. Rather expensive, so I won't use it, but good to know. I'm bad at this. Okay. So, we'll see how this turns out. The Shenyang may be my doom just because of the farming situation. This is the Loner Dome.
Meteor shower incoming.
Ooh. This might get spicy. I am really gonna need some machine parts soon, I think. So realistically, what are we looking at here? I'm not gonna get money anytime soon, so. So I'm gonna reserve 10 polymers so that I can build the basic dome. And then the rest is going to be spent on necessities. It is, however, going to... it's going to put me at risk of famine. Because if we can't get our food production up to speed in time, I'm not going to be able to buy my way out of it. So yeah, the cover crops are going to be my big, sort of my big hump. But I think once we get past that, we'll be okay.
Sector scanned.
Why are you doing this to me? Alright, so I'm very interested in where these guys are gonna wind up. So let me try and improve my filters a little bit more. Good for geologists. I think actually in this case we're gonna say no botanists live here because there's no way they can connect. I'm okay with the rest. This dome. Yes. 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 Still no seniors. Prioritize loners, prioritize botanists. No geologists. Medics are okay. Hopefully that will distribute people a little more efficiently.
New colonists have arrived.
I already have 4 homeless people. Out. This is a working dome. Have I really run out of jobs? That's incredible. Okay, time to open another farm. I was not anticipating that to be a problem, if I'm completely honest. How is it possible that this guy is homeless? Oh, hang on. It's because botanists can live here. That was careless of me. so again, I'm gonna hold on as long as I can on this one.
Funding received.
This guy's seriously working in the grocers. Okay, no, we're fine. Okay, so they work in the farm. I hate to do this to him, but we all have to make sacrifices. Out. Oh, hang on. I've got a geologist who's apparently unemployed. That's not right. I feel bad about doing that, but okay, homeless and works at the diner. Surely there is something I can do about this. Okay, so they work in the fungal farm. Okay, now apparently I have 5 available jobs. So that must mean that they live somewhere. Yep. Okay. So let's find who else works at the fungal farm. Oh, that is upsetting. Yeah, I guess screwed that up. Okay, so now we've got no joblessness. No, I need to get that rocket. Okay, so 10 for the construction, 10 for happiness. Yes. No. I can't risk it with the food. This medic. No, you have a home, please. Get in there. Okay, I now have Utopia. Okay, so my cover crops are almost done. As long as these actually work, I think we're out of the woods with food. That's a big if.
Sector scanned. Anomaly found.
Okay, we know what to do with that. Now, we're still picking up metal, which I'm happy about. I kind of want to just get this dome built so that I have the option of bringing more people in. So I'm gonna guess that the bracketed amount is what I'm actually consuming, which is really cool if that is. I'm very suspicious about that machine parts going away. Okay, cover crops are done, so now we're going to rotate between potatoes and soybeans. Or I could just do regular wheat. But wheat has a better turnaround, so I lost my nerve. It's more homelessness, huh?
Though initially fruitless, we recalibrated the operating spectrum for our scans and voila!
The unusual chemical composition of the regolith near the anomaly site effectively shielded it from our data gathering. As we repurposed and improved our scanning technology based on these new findings, we were rewarded with an unexpected surprise: large water deposit discovered. Okay. Well, they weren't kidding. Okay, so let's yes, yes. Yes. No to these others. No seniors. Let's prioritize medics. Okay, clearly whatever I did has just demolished my... I don't get it. This should work well. It's like my entire labor force for the farms just collapsed. I think I just made it worse. This is so funny. All of this is... Okay, so this person's unemployed. Okay, so let's at least start with people without jobs. Well, this should be a little easier for me to deal with, I think. So it's a capacity problem. Well, is it though? I need to find out what jobs are not. Oh, right. Okay, so clearly the problem is just I need to get everybody in this dome. So... So we're gonna start. Oh boy. Let's start by just getting them in these apartments. Seniors' homelessness is a slightly more devilish problem. Salvation in rocket form. Okay, that one just confuses me. I hate to do this, but we are going to take down the Founders Monument. Six polymers. I was a little premature with that. We're going to build the living quarters here first. And let's not forget tradition. Oh, actually, I have to forget tradition. So we'll start with simple living quarters. Not quite at 30, so... okay, what else are we? Jesus. Out. Okay, so they live in these apartments. Then the answer is move them here and put them to work on a farm. Do geologists keep showing up in my farms? Well, it's because I keep sending them there, obviously. Okay. Start you there. Next one, no specialization. You there. Geologist. Lives in these apartments. There. Perfector Mercury lives in these apartments. Works at this farm. And now it should be done. Just in time for the meteor shower.
Sector scanned.
Oh yes, I can get my transport working on this. So again, I'm just kind of following the columns, picking up what I can, because it's not like we really need these materials. Good news, of course, is that we're not getting any alerts in terms of needing certain resources. So it's going to be a little bit of a race against time to see whether or not I can get the mining operation up. Other than that, we're in decent shape. And we're back to inefficiencies.
Anomaly found.
Okay, let's wait till the meteor shower finishes. So it just seems like I can't get people to prioritize this dome. I'm gonna assume this is gonna wreak havoc on my we definitely don't need cover crops anymore. Assuming this is going to wreak havoc on my yields, just because the staff's changing all the time.
Resources are low.
That's not so surprising.
Anomaly found.
Again, all of this is great to pick up after the storm. I don't want to blast my my explorer. So the real question here is, do I want to wait for the 5? I think what I'll do is I'll wait for the transport to come back. I'll just load it up with minerals, and we'll put them in front here. I'll actually let this run by because I'm really just waiting for some of this stuff to build. I think I'm going to see if anybody actually makes this number go up. I'm curious.
Anomaly found.
Okay, it is going up, so we'll just watch it. I'm reasonably happy. I mean, it's been slow going in terms of this run, but I'm reasonably happy with where the colony is right now. We've got a bunch of people working. Presumably they will find work in the farm. I'm not quite crazy. I'm not crazy about how the sort of the alignment of everything, like the fact that I need to micromanage the job so much. That's one thing I don't like about my setup. I also feel like these should be much higher priorities than they are. So yeah, that's one thing I'm not crazy about, is the fact that the jobs need quite a bit of micromanaging, but overall I'm reasonably happy in terms of what kinds of production we've got. So in theory we should be generating, let's say it's 24.5. Oh, actually no, it's telling me it's 24.5. So let me just do the numbers on that. So right now I should be generating 49 food a day. We consume 19, so we should be over capacity as far as this food production is concerned. This should mean that I should be able to open this dome without a problem. Now, of course, maintaining that equilibrium, making sure that the oh, it's getting a little close. Didn't even have the decency to give us
Sector
resources.
scanned.
So the next step is going to be Oh wow, this is getting close. I was just about to lose it. So unfortunately, we are losing a little bit of water, though. I think I'm going to make the water reclamation system a priority as well. Okay, you're definitely ready to go. You're going to need a little bit. This is going to be an interesting question, whether or not. I don't think I'll build the metals extractor yet. Okay, so now my RC Explorer is just going to have a whale of a time scanning these anomalies. And for the rest, this will be an interesting torture test. I think we might be a little shy on capacity, like for the power grid. So it's very obvious that I'm not going to be able to sustain, you know, the centralized hub here. So first thing is going to be to build an apartment complex. That's going to cost me polymers and quite a few of them. So I need to be very careful. On top of that, I want to make sure I have a space bar because I'm going to have geologists. Sorry, that's services. Put that one down right there. And then we should have production. Machine parts factory. I'll put that one smack dab in the middle. I'll actually turn that one off because we don't have anybody available to work on it. Same with the space bar. So what's going to happen is eventually we're going to build these when we have colonists who are ready to work those. And the good news is a bunch of people who work in these regions will also be able to go into the apartment here. Because obviously this is getting a bit full. Oh, did our nursery? Okay, that's silly. It's not going to be perfect. Obviously, we're going to get to a point where the nursery has more kids than it can handle, but we're not at that point yet, so. Okay. Okay, so we got what we needed for the cover crops. We're almost there for those others. Looks like we're ready to open another farm. So when the time comes, I think the Martian University will go here. It's not ideal, but it will, unless I can build a medium dome in this spot, it'll be my best bet. Once I can build medium domes, it raises some interesting questions. So what I might do is actually wind up tearing down a lot of these connections and sort of see if I can reconstruct. When you think about it, the only things that I really need for like, so the farming dome can go wherever. This dome has to be here because of the rare metals, although of course we're now less than half capacity, so maybe this won't be relevant anymore. This metal extractor will obviously be there for a bit, so it may be that this dome winds up getting dismantled in favor of where would our next one be? I suppose this makes sense, seeing as it's close to our other site B. This is a little optimistic. This is close to water. Yeah, I should probably start putting some thought into where I'm going to get my next batch of rare metals. Thought for another time. So what I want to take a look at here is whether or not I'm generating enough power to get us back on track by the end of the day. I'm just going to make this one a normal priority until we wind up in a situation where we have a little bit more population. But in its ideal form, I should actually go for our default level, so without, let's go pessimistic, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Should be 42.5 that we generate, but anyways, we're definitely going to be over capacity on food. So then the next question is, when do I bring the next batch of colonists in? And I think the answer to that is when. When I know I have the resources to be able to build all these buildings. And when I know I have a steady enough food supply. Well, I mean, the number's already going up by quite a bit. So maybe the next rocket is a passenger rocket. What are we looking at? This is spending machine parts to get machine parts. And we could probably afford to build another GHG, but I don't think we actually have access to that yet. Yep. In fact, I really can't do anything but reforestation, and I'm absolutely not ready to do that yet. So I think we're just gonna sit on what we got. Polymers, we're looking at 1.2, 2.5, 0.6.
Research complete. Anomaly analyzed.
All right, now this is great, because this is going to mean that I have access to a better workforce. I believe I can afford to make this get to work. Oh, that is glorious. Okay, so we know what we're doing here, so now I'm going to start focusing on the 2,000 or less techs. Crowdfunding seems to be the way to go, although Martian University is tempting as well. Receive a one-time grant of $1 billion in funding. With the rising media hype about our mission, it is only a matter of social maneuvering to make the first interplanetary crowdfunding campaign a reality. So, can I build a polymer factory? I can. That's good. So, what we're going to do is we're going to wait for all of our farms to be at... No, actually, we're already in good shape there. I don't think we're going to wait for farms. I think what we're going to do is we're going to wait until a ship is available. And we're going to get these buildings built. We are going to start by getting the machine parts factory ready to go. So here engineers will be acceptable. Let's change that a bit. We'll say that it's a neutral assignment. Engineers preferred here. And non-specialists. So priority one's going to be to get the machine parts factory sort of staffed. Priority number two is going to be to get the metals extractor up and running. But we've got a huge stock of metals. So we don't actually need to worry too much about people working at that right away. And then spacebar is obviously for the... Actually, I should also figure out what it takes for what the engineers want. But yeah, getting the machine parts factory fully staffed is priority number one. Oh, I didn't even check.
Anomaly analyzed.
Okay, that's good news as always. In fact, one of the things that can happen is I can take all of those unemployed geologists and get them... I can get them in the... get them working on this extractor. So, let's change this around. No geologists. I'm still okay with botanists. Do I actually need medics? I can add 2 if I really need. It doesn't hurt to have professionals. They're both cowards and whiners. Before I do that, I actually need to figure out how many people can go in the machine parts factory. So basically, how many have you got? Okay, I will actually allow that because they're a genius. I'm starting off by being kind of picky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, damn it, I need to bring them all in. That's not true, actually, because I need people to staff the bar. Oh, that's right. Engineers want dining. Well, we already have a diner, though. So... Okay, so what's the deal here? Non-specialist. Well, I'm gonna put you here. They're gonna start working at the space bar.
Research complete. Anomaly analyzed. Milestone achieved.
All right. So this is some good news here. Terraforming progress. Liquid surface water is now possible. With the warming of the atmosphere on Mars, water is now sustainable in its liquid form on the surface. We have indeed come a long way. So we finished the ancient terraforming device, which is great news. So help Lambda Industry analyze the data from their story bits. Okay. Nice to do, but maybe when I have the research. Being able to build Stirling generators is not a bad idea. But I think the Martian University is an even more important one. Alternatively, the large water and oxygen tanks are something I'd like. Or the electronics factory. It's all good stuff. I think I'm going to go for the university. So, new building, Martian University, trained scientists, geologists, botanists, medics, engineers, or security officers. College education is always free on Mars. So it's a little more aspirational. Oh, wow. Didn't realize that, so good news there. And we get 2 lake-free prefabs for that. Now, I'm not 100% sure how those work, so... This is just in case I make a terrible mistake. Oh, neat. Okay. So it's a little cramped. But I think we can make this work. The mysterious rocket, a mystery rocket, has entered orbit and is signaling readiness to make touchdown. Communications with the rocket are purely on the machine level, as attempts to establish contact with any potential crew have so far gone unanswered. As no one is making the claim of ownership over the rocket, and there is no visible insignia to identify its origin, we are in a position to do as we wish. Just a word of caution. In these competitive times, trickery and acts of sabotage are not above anyone, even here on Mars. So there may be helpless crew members on board. Land the rocket immediately. So. So while we're at it, let's take a quick look at what's happening overall. So we have sustainable grass, we have liquid water, toxic rains will start at 25% atmosphere and will end at 55. Yeah, it's going to be tricky. Alright, let's see what's happening here. Okay. This is a problem. If we're losing power during the day, this is actually a really big problem. Okay, I hate that I need to spend machine parts because they're so scarce, but that's one. And then I'm going to try and get by without building another battery. Now let's see what horrible things are waiting for me on the end. Immediately after landing the mysterious rocket, you send a team to investigate. They enter the rocket. As they enter the rocket, they find 10 passengers in helpless condition but still alive. You quickly organize a rescue effort and bring the colonists to your colony for care. Later, you learn that they were meant to reach a rival colony but had suffered technical difficulties during the trip. Out of gratitude, the rescue passengers have decided to stay with us. The more the merrier. Welcome to your new home. What a lovely outcome. It's one of the things I really like about this game is how optimistic and just nice everything is. Oh, okay, so we've got some scientists. That's going to be a little bit of a dilemma. Gonna have a few space problems, I think, but nothing we can't handle. It'd actually be great if we could get some of these guys in the
research complete.
It'd be great if we could get some of them in the farms. Alright, temperature parameter represents the global surface temperature on Mars. Increased temperature is required for liquid water, rains, and local vegetation growth. Temperature is increased by buildings in the Terraforming build menu and by completing special projects. The temperature tooltip provides further information. So Greenhouse Mars has been completed. That was for the GHG factory. So Stirling generators would be nice, although I do need electronics for them. Being able to build drone hubs is kind of good as well, but actually in this case I think we're going to go for Mega Storage, 1 because it's cheap, and 2 because I've said I've wanted that for a while. So it'll give me large water tanks and large oxygen tanks. If there's magic on this planet, it is contained in water. Lauren Isley. Okay. So my hope is that we're going to be able to turn some of these colonists, new colonists, into farmers. actually, while I'm at it, we can start adding some services. So, security station requires
Milestone
concrete and
achieved.
electricity. Dig a lake. It's not going to be too impressive on its own, but given enough time, I think it'll... Oh! We are now at a negative for water. That's admittedly rather surprising. So, time to dig into the reserves. Oh, actually, while I'm at it, Polymer factory sounds like a good investment now. No, we'll fix that, don't you worry. Okay, so transport we're gonna set up for more metal. So again, it's gonna be a little bit of a race. But if we do this right, we're gonna wind up with a bunch of people who can work in all of these areas. Okay, good news. So we're up to wheat. That geologist makes me sad. Oh, but we've got a surplus of geologists, so. I'm gonna set his residence here, because in just a minute, I'm gonna put him to work at the metals extractor. Okay, so this is starting to resemble roughly what I would want. Now we still have a couple people who are unemployed. So no specialization sounds like a perfect opportunity for that guy. Likewise over here. This guy's got 3 rare metals to go. Alright, so this is a nice way to end. We saved a bunch of people. Now, unfortunately, we're probably going to get our solar panels online right around the time. Ooh. Yeah, this is going to sting. So the good news is we're already producing more machine parts than we're consuming. Which means that soon electronics are going to be my only import. I think in this case, with that news, I'm going to accept the construction of another wind turbine. Now, in an emergency, I can shut down some of this, but I'd kind of prefer to keep the taps on. Oh, also, it looks like we don't need to worry about water after all. It depends on what crops we're growing. So I'm gonna say thank you, no. We'll leave that for another time. That does raise a question as to whether or not, yes, we are meeting demand. So I won't build a second lake until we need it. And the question is, are we going to be able to survive the night? So with Polymer Factory, we're going to need 10 more. In this particular case, I want one more wind turbine. And this one, against my better judgment, I am actually going to put in. So the problem with this is meteorite bait. Okay.
Sector scanned.
This is
Anomaly
gonna get
found.
pretty exciting. Okay, they're still working. It's pretty exciting. We're looking at more of the map now too. Okay. So we're warming the planet slowly but steadily. We've got our base levels. We'll be getting a small tick for water. Atmosphere is going to be the next priority, so let's see where we get that from. Carbonate processor, apparently. Yeah, so really all that we can focus on right now is water, heat, and vegetation.
Resources are low.
Ooh. Yeah, that's not surprising. But I think we're going to be able to get through it, so. I'm going to be stubborn. I'm going to keep these guys in orbit for a little while. Ooh, ouch. Okay. We are going to tough it out. Okay. Now I'd like polymer blades if I can, but I went a little too aggressive in terms of getting everything up and running for machine parts and such. So there's still 2 away. I think I'm gonna lose my nerve on this. Yeah, you know what? Up, up and away. Kinda need those engineers in the base as soon as possible. So some of them are going to be working in the machine parts factory. We'll actually close the night shift on that. Oh, we're gonna get negative water in a bit, I think. Hey.
Breakthrough discovered. New colonists have arrived.
Apparently I didn't connect this to power, which is embarrassing. Okay. So I'm gonna go turbine crazy for the next little bit. Again, I'm spending machine parts that I haven't actually built yet. My slightly bigger worry is that I've actually overdone it on the water. Nope, looks like we're still okay. That's delightful. Unfortunately, we're nowhere near where we need to be for power. So I think we're going to have another set of power outages. That's actually going to be a very difficult problem to overcome. Okay, I think that's going to be a tomorrow problem. So, thank you very much for watching. As far as what we accomplished, we got the farming dome up and running. We still have one more batch of people to do some work in, but I'm feeling pretty good about that. I did expand a little too quickly as far as my energy needs, so one thing that's nice is by turning off the work shift, we're actually going to turn off the 50 power requirement for that. We've got seniors who are able to work now. It's actually kind of interesting to see if renegades are a 6 temporary ill, so I'm curious if it's the case. Entire colony. So no unemployment. Yeah, apparently everybody's working. Let's look for the seniors. I wonder if it tells me, yeah, rare metals, and everybody else is okay. Excellent. So, what we wound up doing, we've got a big food supply. We've got currently a metals extractor. Let's make this, oh, no, you know what? That was a bad choice. Should let people work where they want, but I should probably make the polymer factory and the machine parts factory a slightly higher priority. Well, 5.2 actually isn't too bad. So we have, in terms of self-sufficiency, we've definitely got a lot of food on the way, and I think we're going to be able to sustain that for a while. Of course, the thing is we haven't even hit our peak yet, so we've got 100% soil quality on a standard farm. No soybeans anymore. We're we're just going to wait for these soybeans to finish. We still need these to finish. So we've got 2 more farms which are coming online in terms of full capacity, and then of course we've got 1 more farm which needs workers. We may not actually be able to fit all that. Looks like... yeah, it looks like people are busy doing other work. So I'm going to have to think about that a little bit. Now, as far as self-sufficiency, if we're going to be producing 5.2 machine parts per sol, we need 3.3, which means we have a surplus of 2. Now, a little bit like all of my other resources, I'm going to need to actually build it up to a point where we're able to take advantage of the surplus. Right now, we're going to be hurting for those. And then polymers, we have demands of 1.3. The projection is 6.1, and this is consuming water, fuel, all things which we have in abundance. So the next step is going to be to build some technology that will allow me to produce electronics. So at the moment, I believe, yeah, so this takes electronics here. Well, this takes machine parts, and that's all right. But right now, our electronics demands are 0.9, and at the moment, we're generating 9.8 rare metals. Obviously, this will be expiring in a little bit. So essentially, once we build an electronics factory, what that's going to mean for us is that we have achieved self-sufficiency in this little colony here. It is going to be dependent on continuing to extract rare metals, and so eventually what's going to happen is, hopefully between the time of exhausting this deposit and between now and exhausting this deposit, we're going to be able to build an alternative over, let's say here. We have a few other candidates. This location, this has the advantage of being scenic. This one I think has a pretty high quality. Oh, no, it doesn't, but it is close to water. And then we've got one over here. So we have a few different places where we can find rare metals, and ultimately that will be how we continue to bring in electronics. And of course, the nice thing about that is being able to build electronics will mean that we can start building up this dome, which will house all my science. And so we're going to go from a situation right now. Terraforming subsidies will be done soon, so we're 98% on that. We're going to be going from a point where we're sort of at this anemic 450 now because we've got a genius, but this anemic 300 to a point where we're actually able to invest quite heavily in our ability to produce science, and ultimately it'll be supported through sort of our production base here. Once we've finished expanding in this area, there's 2 things to keep in mind about it, which is number 1, it's, this is just going to be a dome which is dedicated to science. That's fine. I'm sure I'll have to put some like amenities or something like that inside of it, find the stuff that scientists like and whatnot. The other thing to keep in mind about it is once our science is boosted, we're going to be seeing more of sort of these techs available for ourselves, and so we're going to be able to start doing things like, Stirling generators, and we're going to be able to print drones, and essentially we're going to become a lot less dependent on Earth, and that's going to mean that we have a few more options available to us in terms of, certain goals that we're pursuing and whatnot. Keeping in mind, of course, that we always have the mission goals, which are research 8 terraforming technologies. That'll give us, 100 sponsor research. We'll be up to 7 at the beginning of the next stream. And, I'd love to be at 35% overall terraforming progress. That's going to take us a while. But definitely to get the extra 100 sponsor research, we can maybe consider trying to line up our science in such a way that the 10,000 will benefit us the most. But overall, it's looking pretty good, to be honest. I've really enjoyed this, and I think one of the things that I'm going to try and aim for, if we know that our food is sort of secure for the next little while, I might actually convert one of these into a seed production, so that we can consider trying to green the planet. one of the drawbacks about it is that we are going to be getting toxic rains, and it will be reasonably soon, I think. So that's going to degrade our vegetation a little bit, but you know, we'll do our best. I think so. Toxic rains start. Yeah, it's the atmosphere and the heat. So maybe what I want to do is I want to see how high I can get that water, see if we can like automatically get it to that 10. So essentially what happens is the toxic rains, essentially I want to get it so that it's just purely the atmosphere that's determining the start and the end of the toxic rains, so that there's only that 1 degree of freedom. Compared to our neighbors, we're ahead of Russia. So we're at 105 colonists, 720 million in the bank, and 450 research. So they're at 200. They've got 2 billion in the bank, 48 colonists. Japan apparently does not have any colonists. That's rather surprising. 4 billion in the bank. And the Church of the New Ark also has 4 billion in the bank, 50 colonists, and no research. So it's going to be fun. Milestones. Sorry, not milestones. Yeah, these milestones. We may not. I think these two might be a little difficult, but we'll see. All right. The time has come to call it a night. Thank you everybody for watching. As I always say, I love doing these, so I hope you found it worthwhile. If I can, we'll try to do one next week, but it is a very busy time for me, so if you don't see one next week, it is not because I don't want to do it, it's just because there's so many things to get done, and they are things that make me feel good, just like this, so it's not a bad reason that I'm not there, it's just not something that I'm able to share with you. And so, one way or the other, we will see you again to continue with the Terraforming initiative, and until then, I hope you have a wonderful time. Talk to you later.